Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, we're burning the midnight oil again. As you can see here, I'm in the dark.
It's not quite midnight yet, even though we jumped ahead. We sprung ahead today.
Yeah, it feels like
it was a long day.
It was a long day. We started the day in the wee hours of the morning yesterday, I guess, or even this morning was the DGA Awards that ended, I think, at like 3:30 a.m. It seemed like.
Here. Well, I think it ended like right before 2 a.m. Eastern, our time, which was then immediately 3 a.m. obviously.
Correct.
So.
Spring ahead.
Yeah.
Spring ahead. So that is how we started the morning. And then the BAFTA Awards. And then we just finished up with the Critics Choice Awards. So we're going to start with the BAFTA Awards, Joyce. Well, if you're watching this and you're like, when are they going to talk about those amazing Critics Choice Awards? Stick around.
Yeah, because we have movies and TV at Critics Choice.
We'll do that later, and you could stick around. But we'll start with the BAFTA Awards, Joyce, which had did a few things. I would say, A, fully confirmed to me that we have 3 acting winners all set up. Will Smith for Best Actor, Troy Kotz for Best Supporting Actor, and Ariana DeBose for Best Supporting Actors, all won at the BAFTA Awards. We had talked about this when we were doing our predictions. I had Benedict winning Best Actor for so long, and then I just was like, I'm just switching to Will because he's going to win. And I felt like vindicated that he won, Joyce.
Yeah, so like I've always I thought like Will was winning regardless. Winning the Oscar regardless of whether he won BAFTA or not, because like as I said last week, I don't think this is a Anthony Hopkins and Chadwick Boseman situation between him and Benedict, because King Richard's just stronger overall, whereas the father was stronger than Ma Rainey last year.
Sure.
And yeah, with like Troy and Cody, I felt like if Troy was winning the Oscar, like he would just win here to lock it up. And I like whoever won the BAFTA between the two of them, I would just pick them for the Oscar. And if like Kieran Hines had won, I would have picked Troy, because that just proved that like Cody could not win, like or like beat Troy, you know?
Right.
And like at least like Troy had the SAG win, whereas like Kieran wasn't even nominated at SAG. Correct. So anyway, yeah, they were kind of lazy.
It felt a little lazy, I got to be honest.
Very lazy. I'm actually kind of disappointed in them, because I felt like last year they not that they like went out of their way to like back the father, because that was actually coming on strong, as like we all knew when it finally was released and was on VOD, and it got like 6 nominations there and also at the Oscars. But like it just felt like, oh yeah, we'll like just go with the front runners, and like obviously they couldn't do that in Best Actress. And I was just thinking like how much more interesting all of the winners would be, the acting winners, if every acting category did not have any Oscar nominee, because it was just like copying people's homework.
So for Best Actress, Joanna Scanlon won, which we had talked about as well.
We called it. Yes,
we did. We knew that. I'm patting myself on my swag sweatshirt back.
Good job. Us.
But yeah, no, I would say I mean, of the 3 of those winners, Ariana DeBose, we had talked about, I kind of tried to make the argument that maybe she would lose, but
because
none of us
based on those 6 anonymous ballots.
Right, but nobody really believed that, and I never even switched off of her. She seems like she's just going to cruise through. But I was really shocked that Troy won, just because CODA wasn't the strongest.
This was going to be, as I said last week, like this would be harder for him than at SAG. Like he was like the reverse, like Yoo Jung-yoon, whereas like SAG was harder for her and BAFTA was easier for her. So, but he did it. So he pulled a reverse Yoon.
Right. And I mean, great, deserving winner. I really like Troy Kotzer, and he remains like he's giving the best speeches, I think, of the whole thing. He's been like very engaging. I just was like, I'm just shocked he won, really. And I wonder, is it too soon to start suggesting that maybe Jesse Plemons is actually siphoning off votes from Cody Smith?
No, I don't think so. No.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, he's like, I don't like, Cody was just so far, like we've talked about before, how he's he would be such an unusual winner anyway. Right. He's so young, and that performance is very subtle, and you really need to watch the movie again to fully appreciate everything he's doing, because it doesn't come together until like literally the last shot, you know?
Right.
Like if you didn't like figure out what happened, like, 2 minutes before that even. So, and Troy just has like the stereotypical role that they like in this category, and he is a veteran. He does have the nice narrative as well. So yeah, and like they've really turned up the campaign CODA in the last couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
they're
also
going for it.
it's interesting because BAFTA voting opened February 9th. So it's like you could assume that a lot of people voted early, because like SAGs was February 27th. So
Right.
and then it closed, BAFTA voting closed March 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little over a week. So it's like that were people already voting for Troy before that, or did they were just like, oh, he wants SAG and like CODA wants SAG ensemble, and it's like, let's go.
I mean, maybe we'll talk about. So the BAFTA did a bunch of fun things, I guess, or interesting things. But Power of the Dog won Best Picture, beat Belfast, Don't Look Up, Dune, and Licorice Pizza. Belfast won Outstanding British Film, and really got dust everywhere else. Right? Did it win?
Like we also talked about last week as well. Was
And
was it
then-
only going to win British film, and it did.
Right. And then Jane Campion obviously won Best Director. Great. We expecting that. And then original screenplay went to Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson, which we'll go back to later when we do the Critics' Choice Awards, because they did not pick Licorice Pizza. But then adapted screenplay, Joyce. These were the nominees. I'll just read them off again. CODA, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog. Now, if we were ranking these before today, I would have had CODA comfortably in 4th place. And I love me some CODA. It is a fave. But of those scripts,
it was like what, your number 2 of the year?
Yeah,
It made you cry.
but
Yeah.
Of those scripts, I was like, A, no way it's gonna win, and B, probably shouldn't win. If there's, I mean, the script is the movie, but like that's not the reason the movie is, I think, good.
Yeah.
And then it won Best Adapted Screenplay, which left the punditry on Twitter shooketh, Joyce, I guess.
I think everyone was shook up, and I was like LOLing because I just remember last week when we were doing this, and I was like contemplating. I did not end up predicting it because I changed off of it in the end, but I was like, what if like it's like Drive My Car? I was like between Drive My Car and Power of the Dog, and then they went with CODA, which is widely different than both of those films and scripts.
So you were almost convincing me for Drive My Car. I think I picked Lost Daughter here, perhaps, which I still thought could win because it seemed like everybody was on the Maggie Gyllenhaal train. And no, there's Sean Hayter, not even Jane Campion, Power of the Dog, just Sean Hayter for CODA. I'm stunned by this one.
Yeah, it's a wild pick, and I think that it also means like it's definitely going to win WGA, where its only Oscar competition is Dune.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's next weekend. But yeah, here it was crazy because it's also a very like anti-BAFTA pick.
Yes.
For them. And the thing is like you said, like what like draws you into the movie is really the performances, right? And like that cast, it's like very likable, very, very rootable people, characters, and the script is what it is. And it's a remake of a French film that I have not seen. I don't think you've seen either. If anyone has seen this film, please tell us. And
yes, shoot us an email, please.
So, but like from what I've read about it, it's like it's almost maybe not like exactly like 100% like shot by shot remake, but it's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what differences there are compared to that one, but like even like if it wasn't a remake, just watching the film, it's very much like a movie that's like, it is what it is. It's like these are the sequence of events, and it's predictable. Like I watched a movie like knowing how it's gonna end up. I enjoyed it at the end. Like it was fun. But it's kind of by the numbers, and it's really the acting, the performances that elevate it.
Right.
So I don't know if like it's just people who end up like everyone just says they're just like in tears after watching this film. And I don't know if that's just what's making them vote for it. Like I don't know. That doesn't make it an award-worthy screenplay just because it makes you cry. Because I feel like you do have to consider the structure and like just all these other elements to it. And I think the like Power of the Dog, Drive My Car, and Lost Daughter, they're a little bit more complex, a little bit more challenging. I would not say CODA is a very challenging script.
No. My take was that because they didn't nominate it really anywhere else, and they were swept up in CODA mania, that
they're already
here.
Voting for Troy.
Yeah, but I think they wanted to give it more. I think if it was up for best film, I don't think it would have won, but I mean, like, I think it would have maybe been a strong contender again, like we're saying. I just think that it was here and they were like, we could give it here. And also, like I've said, even though as we talk about when we get to the Critics' Choice Awards, Jane Campion won adapted screenplay there. I don't believe that there's going to be, I do think that people are going to look at this and say, well, I'm already going to give Power of the Dog and Jane Campion Best Picture. Do I really need to give it Best Screenplay? Or maybe I'll go with something else that I really like that I'm not going to give elsewhere. So that was my rationale for like Lost Daughter or Drive My Car or even, I guess, CODA. So I'm like, maybe that happened here as well, where it's like, well, Jane doesn't, we're already giving her multiple BAFTAs. We don't necessarily need to give it for the script and whatever. Now, I have no idea, but it won. And now what does that mean exactly, Joyce? What do you think?
So I was like thinking like those like 3 scripts that we like assume were ahead of CODA, like that they just split like the highbrow vote.
Maybe. I mean,
because like it's like the 3 of them, and then Dune is just there. Like that's a total filler nominee. No offense.
Right.
Like,
it's not going to win. Yeah.
And then like CODA is right there making people cry all the time.
So after this one, I saw like I think we were sending tweets, text back and forth. But David Camfield from Vanity Fair was like, CODA could win, now has 2 Oscar wins, and I just don't believe that. I don't think it'll win here at the Oscars. Even if it wins Best Picture, I don't think it could win. I don't think it'll win here.
I like do not see it going 3 for 3. It's like I think I'll win WGA just because there's like nothing there.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. So the thing about BAFTA as well, I should have like looked this up before when I thought of it. Like they don't really like full sweeps.
Right.
So I know people were like freaking out that Power of the Dog only won.
I texted you this and you had a great response.
And then I was like, it's okay. 12 Years a Slave only won 2 as well.
Right. So that's a good comp for it.
Yeah. So it doesn't, they don't really do full sweeps. And I think the last film to win picture, director, and a writing award was The Artist at BAFTA. So that was a decade ago.
It's a different time, Joyce.
Yeah, different time. Yeah, but they don't really do that. So
I mean, I like, as someone who loves the movie, I think people just really love CODA, and I do think that's probably what helped it win here. But I still think if you're going through the Oscars and trying to read the tea leaves of the BAFTA awards, I would say like I still think it has a better chance of winning Best Picture and Troy than Best Adapted Screenplay and Troy, based on the nominees at the Oscars, which are these.
It's also because now it's funny because it's like literally following the trajectory of the comparison everyone makes, Little Miss Sunshine.
Right, which I guess it could end up being, that could be it, right? It
and
would
then,
win there.
well, Little Miss Sunshine also won PGA, which is next week.
Right. So we'll see if it wins PGA, then maybe we'll go back on the Best Picture train.
But yeah, I don't. It's if it's like only the writing branch picking winners at the Oscars, I don't see CODA winning just because they nominated Drive My Car and also The Worst Person in the World.
Right.
Like that's what they're going for,
right,
not being the Ricardos.
Right.
But with the entire membership, I could see it winning, but this could just be like a BAFTA fluke, like they were just being super lazy and then it's just like, oh, I just watched CODA and I'm gonna vote for it.
Well, I do think, I'm telling you, like they couldn't vote for it. If you love CODA so much, right? If you were like, oh, CODA's the best movie I saw all year, and you're a BAFTA voter and you want to give it everything you can, you couldn't vote for it in Best Picture, you couldn't vote for it in Best Director. So there's really only one place to do it. So if you're a fan of the movie, you'd have to vote for it for Screenplay. Not putting Troy aside, like if you're separating the performance from like the actual movie of it.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I guess like I personally wouldn't necessarily vote that way. Like even if something is like my favorite film, like I consider like the category itself and like what it's up against.
I don't think people do that though. I think they're just like,
like people vote for like the dumbest reasons.
Right. So
we can't trust the masses. This is why I like BAFTA. Like I appreciate what they did with the new system with the nominations, like the juries for acting and directing and everything. I like the BAFTA set of acting nominees is actually my favorite of this entire season.
Yeah.
Even though they're huge snubs all over the place, but these jurors actually watch these films and these performances and voted for them. And they're great picks because it's a lot of names you don't normally see anywhere else. Like I don't think Joanna Scanlon would have won this award had she been up against an Oscar nominee.
No, I don't think so. Based on how they voted, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like we saw that last year too, when we're like, we're in Best Actress, or even like in other categories, really, like you're picking like a non-Oscar nominee, and it was like Frances won because like, and then she eventually won the Oscar. It was like whoever was closest to the Oscar, or nominated for the Oscar. And with the entire membership voting, like I'm sure so many of them have not watched a ton of these movies, and like even Oscar voters as well, and they're just voting, so you can't trust the masses. So I always also feel like they should maybe go back to their previous system when it was like the Emmys with just the branches voting for their own specific categories.
Watching, I'm telling you, I've been texting you this, so I'll say it here in your face and with our mouths. But I was like, I do think that people are watching CODA now who had not watched it.
Yeah, because it won 2 awards at SAG, and it's like, yeah.
And also, we've been seeing every interview. It seems like you sent me Bobby Cannavale, who's like, CODA made me cry.
South by Southwest, yeah.
And at South by Southwest, and like we saw Javier Bardem a couple weeks ago be like, last thing I saw, CODA made me cry. I loved it, right? Like it's like all these people I think are finally watching it, and that it's helping it keep it top of mind. And I do wonder if that is going to continue to push its momentum forward, where it could actually have a historic, no precedent upset over Power of the Dog for Best Picture.
Well, what's funny was like yesterday, like my friend was asking me about the Oscars and like what's gonna win. I was like, well, Power of the Dog was the favorite, but now like all the buzz is around CODA, and he was like, what's CODA?
Right, people don't really know about it.
People don't know what CODA is.
Yeah, they still don't. So it's like, I'm sure there are people who, it got in obviously for Best Picture. That's great, and like it got the 3 nominations. I do wonder if it was like now, if you were voting for the Oscars like this week, I believe that.
I mean, they would all the nominations would be very different.
I think CODA would have gotten Marley Matlin in. I think CODA would have gotten like another below the line nomination somewhere. Perhaps even Best Director, honestly, for Sean.
I don't think so, because like that was just the thing. The thing about it, like the trajectory of it, it was like during the entire season, like even as like an underdog, like outside shot, like no one was ever, this is not a slight on her, but like no one was ever talking about the direction.
Winning. Or also winning.
Yeah, or even winning. Like, no,
I mean, I was
about,
on
like,
this
her direction.
Right.
Yeah, like not even as like an outside shot, like we were talking about, like, oh, maybe like Renato Marcus Green could get in at DGA. No one was like, Sean Hayter could maybe get in DGA. Like if she got in at DGA, like a Garth Davis like nomination, like for Lion, like that'd be like, ooh, like that's a threat, even if she didn't get the Oscar nomination,
Exactly. I've been writing about CODA as like a Best Picture contender, and it was always like, to me, like, oh man, I really hope it gets nominated because I really loved it, and they have 10 nominees and it should get in. Like that was kind of it. Now it's like, I did not expect it to be a major winner contender, let's say. But
yeah, no, that was always the thing, because it was just like, oh, it was this like cute movie out of Sundance last year. And then there was never, how like some films when they premiere at festivals like that, it's like, oh, like blah 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 is an Oscar contender, like Anthony Hopkins,
right,
for The Father, or like the film at large, or even like Endowed last year. That did not happen at all. But no one was talking about CODA that way. And then like towards the fall, when like other films were like falling apart or whatever, and yeah, like it's now back to a solid 10. Like, oh, CODA can get in maybe, but like as a lower tier nominee, but still no win talk.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's now become like a win talk. But as I feel like I would have come on here if 38 minutes ago, and if CODA had won Best Picture, the Critics Choice Awards, which I definitely picked, because I was like, the Critics Choice Awards, like we had said when we did our picks, if it was held in January when it was supposed to be held, the winners would have been completely different than what we saw tonight in a lot of spots.
I'm really glad we did our dual picks last week.
And we saw that bear out a number of times, and I wonder if I was really expecting them to go CODA. But no, it went Power of the Dog, kind of swept through. Jane won Best Director. She won Best Adapted Screenplay, which actually shocked me that they went totally blanked Lost Daughter, which I was just like, again, critics like that movie, I thought. I don't know. I guess not. Maybe not those 400 critics. And then obviously won Best Picture and Best Cinematography. So it got 4 awards. CODA only won Best Supporting Actor for Troy, right? It did not win anything else. And it lost in places where I thought it would win, where we said, like, I think you and I both talked about like Amelia Jones winning Best Young Actor or Actress. And it went to our boy Jude Hill from Belfast.
I mean, do we want to talk about Critics' Choice now?
I think we should, right? Do you have anything else on BAFTA before we switch?
I don't know what else. We
can talk.
the editing at BAFTA. So
that was another big one. And I thought we could talk about that because we could fold that in as we could shift from editing to Critics' Choice Awards because that was a great editing win as well.
That's true. So what else happened at BAFTA that's solely BAFTA? Let me see. Animated Encanto. Oh, documentary Summer of Soul. That's a nice rebound after it lost DGA Questlove.
I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson winning for Best Original Screenplay, I thought was pretty big.
Oh yeah, like they have casting. Oscars do not have casting. A very deserved win for West Side Story and Sidney Poland.
Dune won 5 awards, I believe, all below the line, which we had kind of anticipated.
But not editing. Oh, makeup and hair to Tammy Faye. I think that's a great day for Jessica Chastain.
This was a great day for Jessica Chastain. We talked about this on again last week. I did not pick Tammy Faye. I scoffed at the notion of it winning here because I was like, it's such a silly American movie that these British elites are not going to want to watch or care about, and it didn't really rate anywhere else. House of Gucci was such a strong nominee here for them. It was Best British Film nominee, that great British production of House of Gucci with all those great British thespians like Jared Leto and Lady Gaga. And no, so I picked House of Gucci for best makeup and hair. And no, it went to Eyes of Tammy Faye, which, as you said, is like a great sign, for that to win at the Oscars, which I think now it's pretty much like the locked
it's
front.
It's gonna pull an Iron Lady.
And then Jessica Chastain for best actress. And then she won at the Critics' Choice Awards, Joyce, which is a January to March win, I would say.
Quite a journey. Yeah, so that happened.
So that was good. And then PTA, I thought for Screenplay was encouraging because I really did think that there's a chance that Belfast would have won. I think I picked PTA here in Belfast at the Critics' Choice Awards, and that's how it ended up. So that race is
like
still...
you would also assume that like Belfast would have a better shot at BAFTA.
Right. But I thought they liked it, but based on the previous BAFTA winners, they actually liked good scripts.
Like Licorice Pizza more than like the Oscars did.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was also like if you thought like they were gonna go for like the comfortable script, it would be Belfast and not CODA.
Right.
But it was the other way around.
Yes.
So
and then best editing was No Time to Die, which was another big BAFTA nominee, but it beat Belfast, Dune, Licorice Pizza, and Summer of Soul. Some of those.
So I am just cackling that editing is going to be in the pre-show at the Oscars because this is actually one of the few categories that's still up in the air because No Time to Die is not nominated at the Oscars.
Right.
And at Critics' Choice, West Side Story won editing, very deserved winner, was snubbed by Ace and the Oscars, so rude, and also by BAFTA, but they didn't like the movie that much anyway. And so at the Oscars, it's like, what's gonna win? Like, is it gonna be King Richard?
I think it is going to be King Richard.
Or Dune or Power of the Dog. Like Power of the Dog was not nominated at BAFTA.
Power of the Dog,
and
I don't
think like Dune is going to win.
To win, I actually think King Richard is going to win. I think because the movie is Pamela Martin's like really talented, and it is like the sports stuff is really good.
It would be like a great win.
It's actually like a deserving winner.
Like the tennis are great.
Yeah, and I think that she'll win. And I think people do. We've talked about this as like it's like not it's. King Richard is actually a very strong movie, I think, as a best picture contender. It's not going to win, I don't believe, but it is it has a lot of support.
It overperformed at the Oscars.
And I think that's why she's going to win, because I think you'll get Will and editing for that movie as its 2 wins. So I do think King Richard's going to win, but it's still a wild category that we'll find out the winner on Twitter. Just the way you want to do it.
Yeah. And it's also not really like, no matter who wins, like you still, it won't be like a great indicator of like what's going to win best picture, even if like Power of the Dog wins, you know?
No,
because it also hasn't lined up like the winner since Argo.
I feel like it's not even, I at this point, I don't even think of it that much as like it doesn't really line up at all. They've kind of divorced those two categories.
You just need the nomination, really.
It needs a nomination, and that's fine. I don't think Power of the Dog will win.
I think the last time, let me look this up. So the last time BAFTA went with a their winner was not an Ace winner or the eventual Oscar winner, I think was Rush. So
Ron Howard's Rush?
Yes.
Absolutely.
starring Chris Hemsworth. And
Awesome movie. I saw that movie like
Daniel Bruhl.
4 times in the theater. I loved it.
Wow.
It's a great movie.
BAFTA also loved their race car movies. So,
Yeah, that was a good movie. That was a Daniel Bruhl Oscar snub that I thought should have happened.
he was nominated everywhere. And
then a great Hans Zimmer score in there as well.
Yeah, so that year BAFTA went with Rush, the Oscars went with Gravity, and Ace Drama went with Captain Phillips.
So all good movies. I just don't think Power of the Dog is Gravity in this scenario, though. I think that it's going to be King Richard.
But I think like the editing is like similar.
In Gravity versus Power of the Dog?
Yeah, because it's not like a super...
No, you're right. I guess it could be. And I guess if it does win, I mean, like we said, like that is a sign. I think Power of the Dog is obviously going to win a decent amount of Oscars, right? It should. 13 nominations.
Like Power of the Dog at the Oscars, I think I could see it winning like maybe like 3 or 4. I don't know.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
It could just win directing. And
I mean, it could win basically if the Critics' Choice Awards are right in there predicting the Oscars, it would win 4. Best Picture, Best Director, Adapted Screenplay, perhaps, and then Best Cinematography. But maybe it wins Best Editing instead of Best I do think it'll win Best Cinematography. Maybe it wins Best Editing instead of Best Screenplay. But whatever.
Okay, so the other year, 10 years ago, Senna, another racing movie.
They love them.
Won. I told you, it won editing at BAFTA. Obviously, was not nominated at the Oscars or Ace, and the Oscars went with Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which was an inspired win, and Ace went with The Descendants.
Nice.
So
I don't know. It's a great category though, Joyce.
But it's gonna be in the pre-show. So
at the Critics' Choice Awards, they gave the best editing of the year to the movie that wasn't nominated at the Oscars, and it was the best editing. West Side Story should win. Should have won at the Oscars.
Let's do a write-in vote for West Side Story.
Can they do that? People, please vote for West Side Story. It's amazing.
They should do that. Yeah.
But yeah, so that won a Critics' Choice Awards. The Critics' Choice Awards. So I watched the whole thing. You were watching most of it. They gave away.
I was tuning in for speeches I wanted to see that I saw when I saw the winner. I was watching tennis. I saw him watching tennis, but when I saw the winners on Twitter that I cared about, I basically like Succession.
So they gave away. I cannot even count the amount of awards they gave away going into a commercial break. So many.
They've always done that. Like just like the.
It felt like really rushed this year, though. I just was like, oh boy, they're just burning through these. So like a lot of like they gave away the screenplay awards in the breaks.
Iconic. Do you remember if you watched 9 years ago when they gave adapted screenplay to Tony Kushner during the commercial break for Lincoln? And then like Sally Field was very upset, as she should be.
Yeah. So those winners, so the Critics' Choice Awards, like we had said last week, definitely different. They're going for the Oscar wins. So that's I think the broad.
Yeah, they're trying to predict it. Yeah, that's what they pride themselves on.
And so they have Best Picture was Power of the Dog, which we'll talk about as like I think that is a great sign for it overall, and maybe like throws a little bit of a wet blanket on the CODA, the cheering for CODA, I would say. Just because I think it needed a win here. But I guess if it wins a PGA, we'll be back into the idea that it's going to have a historic upset. But I thought if it was going to win anywhere and like have like an Argo moment, it would have been here tonight with the Critics' Choice Awards, voting like last week, basically, to push it over the top.
I mean, like the thing is, like Power of the Dog still is the Best Picture favorite.
Right. By a wide margin.
CODA is coming on strong.
Right.
So I think like that made sense. That's why I didn't switch off of it, because I felt like they would still go for it. I mean, they could have tied it.
I thought they maybe
that would have been really shameless.
And then all the acting categories, like we said, Will Smith won, no kidding. Troy Kotsur and Aaron
would have won in January as well.
And
Troy would not have won in January.
I think Cody would have won in January, and I definitely don't know if Jessica Chastain would have won in January.
No, so Ariana would have won in January.
Yes.
Jessica would not have won in January. It would have been Kristen Stewart all the way, and I actually feel bad for her.
I can't believe she didn't win. I really thought they would pick her to win, just because then you end up actually potentially affecting the race. You know, we've talked about this. It's like this is still a category that is very much in flux, but now Jessica Chastain has continued to move forward as the front runner. But she does not feel as much of a front runner as like Will Smith does, right? Like if Will Smith,
like the other, she's still not a lock like the other three are.
Right. And it would be like, if one of the other three don't win at the Oscars, we would be shocked. If Jessica Chastain does not win at the Oscars, we would not be shocked.
Right.
But so the Critics' Choice Awards could have put Kristen Stewart back in this, or Olivia Colman, or whatever, any of the nominees, and except for Penelope Cruz, who the critics loved and did not nominate for Parallel Mothers.
The big three critics, or two of them, get awarded Penelope, not the Critics' Choice Awards.
So I just couldn't believe that they kind of pushed her through, and so now she is one again. I don't know. I would not be, like I said, I'm not surprised if she won, but it would just be like, I just can't believe that she's gonna. It's one of those. I'm like really surprised that she's so strong as a contender.
I mean, if Jessica ends up winning the Oscar, people love this performance. Like,
it's a great performance, and she's a great actress that people love,
movie.
Right? Like everybody loves Jessica Chastain. She's like could have won for Zero Dark 30, right? She's awesome in that movie, and like all her other, she's always good. So it's like not a crime that she would win for this. I'm just surprised that of all the performances, that's the one that we've decided is like the one.
It's just, things have finally fallen into place for her this year. Like the category is kind of crazy. You could say weak. It's just like all over the place. And none of her contenders are stronger than she is, really. And she has like the one big industry win under her belt. No one, including her, like could make gains at BAFTA because they weren't nominated. So no one has an edge there. And then I felt like if like Critics' Choice went with Jessica, then it was just like they think she's winning the Oscar and they're choosing to back her because they want to get it right. Whereas like Kristen, she has a less of a chance, or lower odds of winning the Oscar, just because no SAG nomination, sole nominee for Spencer. We know people don't like Spencer. It's very alienating.
Right.
But like she was their girl, man. Like this is like what is so hilarious to me, because she definitely would have won in January. She was just winning regionals left and right. And, like that was like the crux of Neon's campaign, like the most awarded performance of the year. Like they loved her more than they loved Carey Mulligan last year. And Carey won last year, but the timing last year, if you remember, was just the Critics' Choice was a week after the Globes when Andra Day won. And it was a month before SAG when Viola Davis won. Right. So Critics' Choice usually predates SAG anyway, but because they moved it, and then their voting took place after SAG, and Jessica won. So I feel like whoever won SAG was going to win here now. Like if Nicole Kidman had won SAG, then she would have won.
It's definitely pulling in strings that like you can't even imagine, like whatever. But I'm like, if they did not delay the ceremony in January, they delayed it because they wanted to do a big lavish television event that we just saw. Because of the coronavirus pandemic and the Omicron surge, they had to cancel everything. But if they just kept it on and did like a Zoom thing or like a press release for the winners, and Kristen Stewart had won, I wonder how that would have affected like everything that we've seen since. Like, do you think that she would have gotten in at SAG, right? Because that was before SAG, right?
But no, voting closed, SAG voting closed the day of the Critics' Choice Awards, because it was supposed to be on January 9th, the same day as the Globes. So SAG voting closed that day, and then SAG nominations are January 12th. So it wouldn't really have.
It wouldn't matter.
But she would have had like an extra award.
Right.
I
can't believe that she didn't win here, honestly. I'm a little shocked.
It's just, or not even a tie.
So then the other thing we talked about, I think we talked about this on Friday in our typing column, but I'm now convinced that if anybody's going to beat Jessica Chastain, it actually might be Penelope Cruz, which you have said for a while. I
was all about her nomination, and she made it in. So
she made it in with the nomination. The movie obviously was pretty strong. It got a score nomination.
Pretty strong, but doing a lot of work there.
Strong-ish. It wasn't a lone nominee, and we had said it wasn't the Spain's Oscar pick either, where it could have maybe gotten in as best international feature, but they went with The Good Boss, I think, instead, right? Because that was like I think one of the most successful films in Spain history. I think it won like a ton of Goyas also. Javier Bardem is in that. So yeah, like it's a very strong, it's a scene movie that people seemingly enjoy. And it's a latecomer, so it's definitely something that I think people are probably going to go back and try to catch up with, I would argue, right? Because like, you're not going to, you don't need to go like all these. Nobody's going back to revisit Eyes of Tammy Faye if they even do that, right? Because it came out in September. If they saw it back then. Now we're in March. They're not going to bother, but they might actually go check out Parallel Mothers because it's a newer movie that has not really been had mass saturation and not really been widely available. So you're like, oh, I haven't seen these movies, so I'll catch up and watch this. And then the other three actresses in this race do not seem like severe threats to win. Like Kristen Stewart now, I don't think will win, right? Like you said, the movie's really polarizing. She's a lone nominee, not winning anywhere else. The nomination is like the reward there. She got in. That was great. Nicole Kidman has just totally seemingly just nosedived.
A wild season for Nicole Kidman.
Ups and downs, but definitely on the downswing. Again, not really it doesn't seem like the performance that people want to give her an Oscar for. It would be at this point relatively surprising if she actually won, honestly. I can't imagine her winning, so it would be like a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, it's like you really feel like she should have won SAG.
Correct. And then
and then I think the movie it's so weird. It's like it's a PGA nominee and it only got 3 acting nominations.
It's very strange. And I do think having the two of them in the same category is a tough beat because you're basically it's very similar. Like Nicole Kidman and Jessica Chastain are very similar, at least on surface value, right? Because
they're playing famous people.
But
one of them is like way more transformative than the other, who was just knocked left and right and dragged all over the internet for not looking like Lucille Ball. So
right. And so like that's tough. And then you're left with Penelope Cruz, Olivia Colman, and Jessica Chastain if you knock out Kristen Stewart and Nicole Kidman. And Olivia Colman, I feel like she should have won here or somewhere else. I don't know how serious I should think
Olivia was going to win at Critics' Choice. Like she was just not like I don't think she was ever winning here or at SAG.
So then I guess she could show up, and like we said, that movie was seemingly pretty strong and maybe came close to a Best Picture nomination.
It definitely hit all the marks of a Best nominee, like a lower tier one, because it got a surprise second acting nomination and it got a writing nomination. So maybe it was 11th.
So that's good. And then Penelope Cruz. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess if I'm going to see an upset on Oscar Sunday, I could see her winning. I guess you could say Coleman too, but I just think Penelope Cruz maybe is the better bet for an upset.
She is untested against these people. Right. So, and like, you'll say she was snubbed everywhere leading up to this, and all the major precursors. So, and she didn't make the BAFTA long list, but we could also maybe ascribe that to the film being late, even though it made the long list for other categories. Like she also has more, I mean, she won her Oscar in supporting, so it's not the same really as Olivia and Nicole going for their second lead Oscar. If people even like consider that when they're voting. I think like that's the biggest advantage for her, I guess. It's like she's untested against these people. Like no one has proven that they can beat her, but she also hasn't proven that she can beat them. So it's like a huge question mark. And the film was a late film, and I think it's like hitting like VOD soon, right? I got an email about it.
Yeah, I think it is too. So that's good. So, I don't know. It remains a totally chaotic category, but I guess we could be sitting here in 2 weeks and saying, "Oh, Jessica Chastain won Best Actress." I'm not that surprised, Joyce. You know,
it would be boring. I would be happy for her to win because I think she's someone that a lot of people, when she had her breakout year with 29 films in 2011, like people were like, "Oh, she's winning an Oscar soon," and she got back-to-back nominations, and then it was like, "Oh, she's gonna win soon in the next couple of years," and then she was never nominated again until now. So.
Right, and she had a lot of stuff. I thought she could have been like a Most Violent Year. I thought she was great in. She could have gotten nominated for that. So yeah, I mean, I would love for. It would be very nice if she won. It just is. Yeah. Again,
it would just make this really boring. It was just like the SAG-4 because like they were just rubber stamped by BAFTA and by Critics' Choice today.
And back to BAFTA for that, like you said earlier, it was a great. I think the fact that
she didn't win at BAFTA, but like the makeup win was big.
That was very big. That means that people are actually watching. That means the BAFTA audience who maybe would not be thinking about Eyes of Tammy Faye for any
like
reason.
if you think they're too snobby for that movie, which is like super American, and Tammy Faye is not a global icon by any
Correct.
means. So
yeah, so that's like a really good. I think that's really good. So then, Joyce, so Critics' Choice Awards did that. So Jessica Chastain rubber stamped through, and then for the Screenplay Awards, we had. So we talked about CODA winning adapted screenplay at BAFTA. Somehow the Critics' Choice Awards went with Power of the Dog, and then they went with Belfast for best original screenplay over Licorice Pizza. Just hilarious whiplash right there. So this is a basic group, you feel like, of 400 like people like us who are voting on their favorite movies, and they pick Belfast and they don't pick like CODA for adapted screenplay. They went with Power of the Dog. I was just very surprised by both of those results. I have to be honest. Though not really, because
surprising for me. I don't know what did you think like they were gonna pick?
Well, I thought they were gonna pick Belfast, but it just surprised me to see it in real life, I guess.
Okay.
It's just like I was like, oh, they're gonna pick Belfast because I have no faith that they would pick Licorice Pizza.
Okay,
and then
but like, did you think they were gonna pick Power of the Dog?
No, I didn't. I thought they were gonna pick Lost Daughter or maybe
You're
CODA.
just in the tank for the Lost Daughter.
I am, because I think Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think people want to give Maggie Gyllenhaal an Oscar, so I'm like, oh, they'll give it to her for that. Or CODA. I thought the Power of the Dog did not seem like a Critics' Choice Award winner for Best Adapted Screenplay, but maybe it was. So as I was wrong, as it turns out.
Yeah, like that one was less surprising for me that won, because that was always like in the beginning, before like Jane locked up director, you just assumed that it was winning adapted screenplay.
Yes.
And it's kind of reverse, where like the one sure thing for Power of the Dog is director now, and it's been like losing its grip on adapted screenplay because it lost scripter. And it didn't even win like the big three. I think Drive My Car won the big three Critics Awards,
right?
For adapted screenplay. So yeah,
I will say though, it was a great night for Jane because she obviously won the 3 awards, but her speeches were awesome. I think if people are
amazing.
So we talk about like the speeches as like, that's like a great thing. You don't want to, I'd say you want to make a great first impression and then not mess up throughout the rest of your speeches, right? We've seen like, we've seen bad speeches like kind of tank campaigns.
I don't think people like lose because of speeches unless you really do something like offensive.
I don't know. My take is like, I think
they're just like, if it's just like a boring speech, it's like whatever.
A boring speech is okay, but if it's like annoying or you just come off as like ungrateful or whatever it is, I just think that people who are voting then are like, I don't like this. Like, I don't want this person to win. That's kind of like, a lot of this is a popularity contest. So you want to at least appear engaging. We've had great speeches this year. All the actors, I think, have been bang up jobs. Like Will Smith's are awesome. Jessica Chastain wasn't there at the Critics' Choice Awards, but her speeches have been really nice.
I thought her speech from dinner.
Yeah, so. Which is great. Troy Kotzer's speeches rule, Ariana DeBose as well. Then Jane Campion rolls up there tonight, seemingly just completely no Fs, Joyce. No Fs at all.
If you did not see her response to Sam Elliott last night.
So this is the weekend. This was Jane Campion's weekend. I'm actually going to pull that up because I want to read it. At the DGA Awards, where she won and was the expected winner there, obviously. She got asked on the red carpet, what did you think of Sam Elliott calling Power of the Dog a piece of shit, I believe is what he said, right? He really
among other things.
He just really hated it. Said a lot of stuff that was I don't know, not what you want from Sam Elliott. And then her response was, I'm sorry. And she like was hedging it. And it was just like, you thought maybe she was not, if you watch the video, you should watch it. It was like Variety. I think Mark Malkin did the interview on the red carpet. So you can find it on Twitter. But she was like hedging to the point where I was like, in the first watching, I was like, she's just going to say something like pretty mannered and she's not going to like take the bait here. And she was like, I'm sorry. But he was being a little bit of a bitch.
Spelled it out.
I'm sorry to say it. He's not a cowboy. He's an actor. And she says it with this grin.
No. The best part is like, he's an actor. And then it's like the grimace and then like the head tilt. Oh, God.
And then she says the West is a myth exposed. There's a lot of room on the range, which made herself laugh. She cracked herself up, which I love. I love somebody who laughs at their own jokes, as you probably know. I think it's a little bit sexist, because you think about the number of amazing Westerns that were made in Spain by Sergio Leone.
Which we mentioned when we were talking about this.
I consider myself a creator, and I think he sees me as a woman or something lesser first, and I don't appreciate that. Just absolutely knockout blow. Knockout. So that's how she started.
Getting married.
Sam Elliott, done. Sorry, Sam. Not. So then she won at the DGA Awards. Everybody was very excited, and then she wins the night. Rolls up on stage, is like just straight up talking to Venus and Serena Williams on tennis.
Like, so that was one of the speeches I switched back for, just in time to see her get up there and just completely stand Venus and Serena, and then say, I would tickle me. She was pandering to me basically, and it didn't stop there, because she was like, oh, I've taken up tennis, but I can't play right now because I have tennis elbow. And then she got in like another dig basically at Sam and just like the patriarchy by telling like Venus and Serena, like, you don't have to play against men, but I do.
It's amazing. She was really into it. People really loved it, I thought. And then at the end, then she got up again for Best Picture, and she was like, just loving life. I think those will go a long way to having her win, I would say. I don't know. I mean, obviously she's going to win Best Director, but
do you think that locked up adapted screenplay for her?
I don't know if it locked up adapted screenplay, because I do think that there's still going to. I think that is a really competitive category where you could have, I guess now, four winners. I think
both screenplay categories are up in the air right now. For sure. I felt like really good about Licorice Pizza when it won BAFTA, and I think I would still end up predicting that. But also not surprising to me that Belfast won original screenplay here at Critics' Choice. So here's my theory about Belfast's wins tonight, because it also won Jude Hill
and Best Ensemble, Joyce.
Best Ensemble, right? So 3 wins, right? That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we've talked pretty extensively about, the narrative around Belfast all season has been like, it's a crowd pleaser. That really started at Telluride after its premiere, that like pundits really backed, right? Yes. And you and I have always felt like it's not really a crowd pleaser in the way that CODA for sure a crowd pleaser, right? Like King Richard, also a crowd pleaser, inspirational sports drama, right? But like to me, like Belfast, like it's a very sad ending, very bittersweet. Like Judi Dench just gets you at the end, and I never really felt like that it was the crowd pleaser of the year, but like that was the assumed number 2 to Power of the Dog, and it hasn't really won anything note, like no Guild wins yet, right? And it did not win SAG Ensemble, which if you think Power of the Dog wasn't nominated there, and you think like it would go to the next closest like Best Picture contender, which would be Belfast. Right. Did not win there either. And it hasn't really been winning these places. And as we just saw at BAFTA this afternoon, it just won British film. It couldn't even win original screenplay on its own home turf. But like the pundits had always been like behind it. So I think this was its way of like carrying the water for Belfast, to continue carrying water for it. Original screenplay, Jude Hill, and then acting ensemble, they did not nominate SAG winner CODA. So
they had to pick Belfast. Belfast had 11 nominations to lead the Critics' Choice Awards, with also tied with West Side Story, which also had 11, and then
West Side Story should have won ensemble. So
Power of the Dog and Dune had 10. I think that's probably true. I of all these movies that we've talked about, I don't think Belfast is a real. I mean, if Belfast wins at the Oscars, it's got, I think, 7 nominations, or what is that? 7? I think the only one it'll win is original screenplay of those 7. That's its
best shot.
And if it doesn't win that, it will just go 0 for 7, which, even in movies that like the Academy ostensibly likes, that does happen. Like I think back to like Lady Bird, I thought would win.
It just didn't have a shot at any category really,
and it just was out and lost every category. So I could see a world where Belfast just goes over, and Licorice Pizza wins. I'm not ready to predict that. I think I actually might predict Belfast at the Oscars, just because it was the stronger movie with the Academy than Licorice Pizza was, and that I think is gonna maybe push it over the top. And of those 2 movies, I would say Licorice Pizza is more polarizing to a general Academy, even though it's a better movie.
Yeah, like Belfast is the safer choice between them.
It's very
even though,
safe and
like
like middle of the
PTA is
road.
more of like the auteur, like writerly pick, and
Right.
like that one would fit more in line with their usual winners in that
Right.
category. But yeah, like Belfast or the Oscars liked Belfast more than Licorice Pizza. I just wonder how strong, like the Brits liked Licorice Pizza more and it won there. So how strong is like the British bloc going to be for PTA in this category, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like you could say like both Kenneth Branagh and PTA are overdue for, like they are, like numerically. They have,
Right.
like,
It would be cool.
shit
I mean,
ton of
it's not like, if Kenneth Branagh won an Oscar, I wouldn't be opposed to it. And then PTA, I mean, who knows with Kenneth Branagh? Kenneth Branagh doesn't always, his career as a filmmaker, I'm going to say this, it's going to sound, I'm going to say this, I'm prefacing this by saying it's not mean, but his career as a filmmaker is much more pitched to movies like Death on the Nile, right? Like, or, you know,
you mean like as a director?
Yeah, as a director, his movies last decade or so have been like mainstream, like 3-star movies that you see in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Not Oscar movies, right? In theory. And Paul Thomas Anderson, every movie he makes is an Oscar contender, basically. And he's making movies like almost not specifically for awards, but like if he makes a movie, it will be in the awards conversation. So
yes,
there will be further attempts, opportunities to reward Paul Thomas Anderson. Maybe Kenneth Branagh, there will not be as many of those opportunities just based on the type of films that he makes, because he makes like mainstream, like 4-quadrant movies most of the time. Belfast was like a one for me when he's usually a one for them guy, kind of.
Yeah, it is funny because how when he started his directing career, yes, like with like Henry V and everything, he was like this like exciting like Shakespeare guy,
right?
You know, and doing all these adaptations, and then he did like
he's had a wild career. I mean,
yeah,
he directed
and then he like just took a turn.
Yeah, directed Thor.
Yeah, at the turn of century, and you know, it's like Thor.
He did what was it? Shadow Recruit, right? Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, was that him also?
He did. I have not seen that movie, so tell me about it.
I haven't seen that one either, but he's great in Tenet, one of my favorites from last year, as the or 2 years ago.
Yeah, and he's gonna be in the A-Bomb.
Yeah,
as
great.
An actor.
So. I love Kenneth Branagh. He's good. He won, it'd be great. But so we'll see. I think that one will be interesting. And then I don't know, Joyce, anything else? Like Licorice Pizza won Best Comedy. Such a laugh.
Oh right, yeah, not like that. Yeah, is it a comedy? I guess so. Yeah.
So let me ask you this one before we go to the TV side here, because it's getting late here. Animated feature, the critics won Mitchell's versus the Machines, which I knew that was a critical favorite, but I thought it would switch. I think if it was in January, they would have definitely voted Mitchell's versus Machines, but I thought they were going to get swept away at the Encanto love. Totally stonewalled Encanto. Not even best song. It went to No Time to Die. Also lost animated feature to Mitchell's versus the Machines. It won at the BAFTAs, but No Time to Die, I think, won song or their music.
They don't have song there.
They don't have song there.
Yeah.
So Encanto won an animated feature though.
Yeah, Encanto and then Mitchell's also dominated the Annies yesterday.
20 of 31 awards.
Yeah.
So is that a much closer race than I've given it credit for?
Maybe, but I don't know, because it's like I think they could just default to like the Disney film. You know, remember a couple years ago when like Klaus, like I really enjoyed Klaus, another Netflix animated film, and that one won BAFTA, but it didn't end up winning the Oscar.
Netflix has really put on the full court press on making Mitchell's versus the Machines. It has taken a page out of the old Oscars playbook where you attach a strong social narrative to it as well. So they've really amped the lead character in Mitchell's versus Machines is gay, and they've really played that up, or promoted that, not played it up, but like promoted that online and stuff. And I think they're making it have an added import at this time that maybe Encanto does not, or Disney is not pushed on Encanto. So I wonder if that'll help it too, or it seems like more not just like it's like the It's Time narrative, right? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because like it is on Netflix, which like everyone has, but Encanto just blew up so much in the last 2 months.
Right. Encanto, everybody has seen many times.
Yeah, like you could say it's probably more seen than Mitchell's versus the Machines, so.
Even though it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I guess that's another one too. The song, I'm still like, can't believe that there's No Time to Die is just coasting through. I really think Encanto is going to win at the Oscars, but maybe I'm just like holding on to
I just have Billy.
idea.
I
don't know. Joyce, you want to do
it's not Bruno, so and then
that's
like,
it. It's
would
really
just
not.
really have to want to give it to Lin-Manuel Miranda for it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. If it doesn't win, I think that is one of the all-time, like that decision will be talked about for a long time, especially if Lin doesn't win an Oscar. If he gets close to the EGOT and doesn't get it,
I think he'll win eventually. I don't think it'll be this year.
Right.
Sadly, he should have won for How Far I'll Go. That was a better song than City of Stars. Do not at me.
Wow.
It's way better. Yeah.
I mean, City of Stars is not even the best song in La La Land. So just Another Day of Sun should have won if we're going. But How Far I'll Go is a great song. It's a banger, total banger. Joyce, do you want to do Critics' Choice Television?
Of course, I'm in my HBO hoodie. So
Succession won. Yeah. We were dead to rights on a lot of these. Lee Jung-jae won Best Actor, which again, that's just full. We saw the SAG Awards and are voting, I think. Not to do this.
Well, as we also discussed last week, it was like this was like the one place they could conceivably give Squid Game something besides their new category of foreign language series.
Correct, which it won, and they so that was true. Melanie Linsky for Best Actress. I think we talked about this. I think I had her in the runner-up spot behind Michaela J.
I switched
Rodriguez.
to her from Michaela. Yeah,
and you were right on. And that was watching the show. I would estimate that was the biggest response in the room of all the winners.
I didn't watch her speech.
The actors. Her speech was great, but like the response to her winning was like,
I think
like
people
unreal.
Like her. Yeah. Did she get like a standing O?
I don't think she got a standing O, but it was so loud. They were like, it was a very enthusiastic response, and she had a great speech. Hers was actually one of the really. Good speeches.
I just really like that she and Kate Winslet won, but we didn't get the in-person Heavenly Creatures reunion since Kate was not there.
Right. I do think that this will Emmys wise, I think this puts her right in there, right, for Best Actress.
I think she can get it. I don't know if I have her in right now. I haven't looked at my Emmy prediction.
I haven't updated my Emmys in a bit, but I'll put her in. I think after that speech and like the response, I think people want her.
I think she can get in.
To get in,
even if the show doesn't get in.
Right. Supporting actor Kieran Culkin, just an all-time speech.
I immediately switched to the CW to watch
an all-time.
It was an amazing speech.
Truly amazing speech. If you haven't watched it, you should check it out.
He said "shut up" twice. I love when he says "shut up."
So good.
And then just
the only problem, Joyce. The only problem with this speech is that when you watch a speech like that, you're like, oh, so he's just not acting as.
Well, that's always been like
Roman.
when people have been like quote unquote complaining about Succession. It's like they're just like kind of writing to these the actors like personalities, right?
I'm not complaining about it.
It's that
great.
Intense, you know?
Yeah. I'm not complaining, but I'm like, he's just is Roman. I will say the funniest part of his speech that I actually laughed out loud, and he goes, fun fact, Sarah Snook is Sarah Snook, but I can't do that. And then he goes, Matthew McFadden's name is David.
It is. And then he's like, look it up.
Look it up. And they cut to Nicholas Braun. He was just like
all of the reactions were so great because like there was like a shot of Michael Keaton and his glasses were just like on his forehead, like listening to Kieran Culkin. And I was like, just be still my heart.
So good. Oh man. And
Sarah wasn't there, even though she last night when they presented drama directing, since it was just all Succession in that category. I want to hear a speech from her because she's won a couple of things already and she hasn't been able to give a speech.
Maybe at the Emmys, Joyce, but she won Best Supporting Actress. Ted Lasso swept its 4 nominations, right? Show
it's like just a repeat of the Emmys, like them and Jean Smart.
So the one thing I will say, and then Mare of Easttown won for limited series, and Kate and Michael Keaton won for actor. And then I will say this: this was watching this, the supporting actor in a TV movie or limited series was them trying to jump the Emmys, I thought. Because they gave it to Murray Bartlett.
With Murray Bartlett.
Yeah. And I thought really it should have been Evan Peters, right? We talked about
it. It should have been,
but there's really no reason for him to win here because he already won at the Emmys. So the Critics' Choice don't need to give him an award.
Yeah. And people also really liked Murray Bartlett in The White Lotus.
He's
and,
awesome
like,
in it.
Jennifer
It's like the
Coolidge,
best part of the
obviously.
show, honestly.
Yeah, like people love the two of them. Like Jennifer was like always winning this anyway. But yeah, but you know what? Like Evan and Julianne, they already won the big award, so
Right.
it's
Wow.
fine. Yeah.
The other category, everything else, I think they gave these away like again, like as like parting gifts as you were getting your car from the valet, but it was like animated series, what if, talk show, last week tonight. You know, they didn't really
yeah, like John Oliver, man.
Sure.
Is this what like 10 in a row for him now, even though he hasn't been on the air that long?
Pretty wacky.
I don't know. No, I think they gave it to Jimmy Kimmel a couple years ago. So no,
when Jimmy Kimmel was there, I was blown away constantly watching the show and how many famous people were there. They gave
did you not see the presenter list last week?
I saw it, but I just didn't believe. I'm just shocked when these people were there. They had the See Her Award, which is Halle Berry won. Issa Rae gave it to her. Right. That was nice. She had a really great speech. She and Campion actually joked that Halle Berry stole her speech when she won, because her speech is all about like, you know, like elevating the stories of women and like giving them perspective and stuff. It was really cool. And then Billy Crystal won the Lifetime Achievement Award, which I was just like, why? And they picked Billy and they got Jimmy Kimmel to announce it. And it was like, both of them were great. And I was sitting there watching it and like, you know what would have been a good Oscars hosts? Jimmy Kimmel and Billy Crystal together, if they wanted to do multiple hosts. That would have been great. I would have been in on that. I think it would have been a lot of fun.
I mean, I don't know if like Billy's like my favorite Oscar host, but like I enjoyed like all the like I don't mind his shtick.
His shtick hasn't aged well. What Jimmy Kimmel actually mentioned in the intro, he was like, he's famous for all these characters from SNL who would get him canceled today. That's what he said, I think. And it's so true.
But yeah, no, like all of his like his parody songs of the Best Picture nominees would not be very friendly to it.
No, he would need a maybe like a little sensitivity training on that front. But he is always the thing. One thing that Jimmy Kimmel said that made me laugh. Did you watch any of that part of it? No. It was actually he goes, when I got to host the Oscars, the first person I called was Billy Crystal, and I was like, "What's your advice?" And Billy Crystal's advice was play to the room, not to the audience at home, and you'll be fine. And Jimmy Kimmel goes, and I did that, and now no one watches it at home at all. And they haven't had a host since.
But listen, he hosted Envelope Gate, so
that was really the best Oscars in a long. Yeah. That was a great Oscars full tilt the whole time, and that the ending is still all time.
Like one of my favorite bits from that ceremony with like Jimmy was, you know, when they did it was like such a great setup because they were like pairing like actors talking about like their inspiration. So it was like Javier Bardem talking about like how much he loves Bridges in Madison County, and then he and Meryl Streep came out to present, right? So they did that. And they did with like Charlize Theron and The Apartment and Shirley MacLaine. And it was like Seth Rogen and Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future. And then the last one was the punchline. And it was like Jimmy Kimmel talking about how much he loves We Bought a Zoo. Just trolling Matt Damon.
It was really fun. I thought
they brought out like Matt Damon or like Ben Affleck and guest.
Awesome. It was so much fun. He was great. The second time around, I didn't think it was as good.
No, I don't remember anything about ceremony.
I went to that one the second time, and I I barely remember anything. But it was fun. And then no host after that, obviously. But no, the show was fine. The Critics' Choice Awards great. Everybody seemed to have fun. I saw a lot of our punditry pals on Twitter were probably taking selfies with the stars, which we love to see.
Yeah, it was at a new location this year.
Yeah, and they had that little satellite.
Was it even the same as where it would have been in January? I don't even know.
I don't remember actually. And then they had
they also had the satellite location in London, and I know they gave out like the lead acting awards in film super early because it was like 1 a.m. there. So
true, that's what they did. It was they gave out Best Actor I think at 8 o'clock our time.
Yeah, that 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So. Still don't understand why they chose BAFTA's date.
We'll never know, Joyce. But so what do you think here? So now we've had and we have the PGA this week. So looking ahead, right? That's like the next big one. I think if Power Dog wins that, I think we're like kind of safe to suggest Power of the Dog.
Yeah, because it would have proven it can win on a preferential ballot. Right. So like the thing with Power of the Dog is like I feel like everyone or like people are trying to look for vulnerabilities with it because it is a challenging film. and
Right. It's
but
also the front runner, and we've talked
it's
about
also
how
the
you
front runner,
want
so,
something
like,
to lose.
yeah, and it got 12 nominations. But the thing about that is, like, it's not actually favored to win most of those categories, right?
No, it would only win like if I honestly think it will win like 4. It would be like what happened tonight. It won like 4 awards at the Critics' Choice Awards. I think it could win 4, basically.
Yeah, but then it's so, I think like people are saying like it's showing its weakness and blah blah blah, but it hasn't really performed any differently than Nomadland has at this point last year. Like it won DGA and BAFTA Best Film and Director. Nomadland also lost Screenplay to The Father. So yeah,
It
and
is
so it's
tracking a
like it's
lot
on
more.
track to win PGA.
I guess the only difference is, and it will probably win PGA. The only difference I think is that last year we spent the whole time, or I did, like looking at these movies to find a movie that would beat Nomadland because it's like.
But people are doing that now with Power of the Dog.
But there was no movie. There was no movie on last year's ballot that was as much of a crowd pleaser as CODA, right? Like I think you're looking at these, like when there's a 2, it's usually like one is going to be the crowd pleaser or more accessible movie, and then one is going to be like the more austere critical kind of fave. And last year's whole race really wasn't anything compared. Like CODA is like a legit crowd pleaser, like we said, and I think that's the difference. But I don't think it's going to win because
well, there's also like, yeah, it's the crowd pleaser, and you could say it's like number 2 now. But it's also like on paper not strong. It doesn't even look as strong as something like The Trial of Chicago 7 looked last year, that like basically hit everything it needed to hit.
Right. So. And like if the Little Miss Sunshine comps, I mean, again, it would be if it wins a PGA, and then those comps will renew in vigor.
Little Miss Sunshine did not win Best Picture.
Didn't win Best Picture, and it had a Best Editing nomination, right?
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. You're right.
No. It won Screenplay.
It won Screenplay and Actor and Supporting Actress and Picture, right? We only have the 4. Never mind.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it won PGA. But again, that was also a field of 5. Like, would it have beaten The Departed on a preferential ballot? I don't know.
No, The Departed rules. No, People love The
Departed. I watched like the old West Side Story, or 2 weeks ago now, and then it was like the TCM like Best Picture winners or whatever, like the hub, and then the next one was like The Departed, and I was like, I'll watch The Departed again.
I'm not even kidding. The Departed is absolutely one of the most rewatchable movies to ever win Best Picture. It's one of the best Martin Scorsese movies.
I also love a good Boston movie.
So good.
Like not a huge fan of Boston sports teams, but love a Boston movie.
I still think when I watched it recently. We're just gonna do Departed now, I guess. I watched it recently, and I was like, I can't believe that Leo didn't get nominated for this. He had,
like, Blood Diamond.
I know Blood Diamond sucks though, and he was so good in Departed. Just like
only Mark Wahlberg was nominated for that. Like I love Mark Wahlberg in it, but
he's great in it. But like it's a joke that like Leo, and that's honestly like one of Matt's best performances as well. Ben could have been in it maybe. No, he kind of did it with The Town. He tried to do like a remake of it, I guess.
I love The Town as well.
Town rules. A great movie.
Another Boston.
But Departed is just all time. It's so good. It was so deserving.
And I'm like, like when people were like, oh, like Martin Scorsese is gonna win for this, I'm like, he should win for this.
It's absolutely one of his like top 5 best movies.
Yeah.
He could have won for of the recent movies that he has done. Wolf of Wall Street is like absolutely like my favorite. This is like since like Goodfellas, like his Halcyon days, right? Mm-hmm. So like I would have happily had him win for Wolf of Wall Street, but like Departed is nothing, no problems there. Yeah, I'm in.
Also a remake. So the remake has won. So yeah.
So that would be another feather for CODA, I guess. Joyce, I'm still sticking with Power of the Dog. I
still have Power of the Dog. I mean, I'm not doing it until PGA.
You know how I love switching things around, and I'm so reactionary.
You're not being reactionary this time?
I have absolutely stuck with Power of the Dog the whole time, just sitting here in top.
I don't even know if I'm going to switch anything at this point, because I already have all the 4. I have to switch Cody, because I was waiting for BAFTA. So I have to go to Troy now. I have to do this on my phone.
Right now I have Lost Daughter winning screenplay, which I'll probably switch, and I have Belfast winning original screenplay, which I actually might stick with. And then I'm
not really gonna touch screenplay yet.
Power of the Dog, I have cinematography, so that's good. I guess I might switch song. I also might switch production design after today. Give up the ghost on my dear friends at Nightmare Alley. because Dune is just continued to dominate everything. And I think
I mean, it's still won ADG, although Dune also won in their separate categories.
Dune won there, and it won a BAFTA, and I think it won Critics' Choice Awards as well. So
you know what should win? West Side Story. I wanted to pull a Lincoln with an acting win and production design, because that was also a surprise when it won.
Yeah. Yeah, everything else looking pretty solid. So I'm predicting myself getting like 23 for 23 at the Oscars. Look out.
Have you ever gotten 100%?
Oh, come on. Let me we can look at our old predictions. Let me see. My featured league.
I actually did once, but it's not like on record here because it was like before I was like here. But that was the 7 years ago now. Yeah. So it was like the 2013 like year of film. Like Wolf of Wall Street year. Like 12 Years a Slave year.
I'm trying to look here. The 2013 Oscars, it looks like I got 79% right. That's my best. That was my best year ever predicting. Because I had 12 Years a Slave. I had 12 Years a Slave, Quran, Cate Blanchett, Matthew McConaughey, Lupita Nyong'o, and Jared Leto. So I swept all the top 6. I lost both screenplays because I somehow had this. Talking about flat. Still, I'll just read these off. Trip down memory lane. I had American Hustle winning adapted screenplay over her.
You mean original screenplay?
Original screenplay. I'm sorry. And then I had Philomena winning adapted screenplay.
Why would you do that?
12 Years a Slave? What?
Why would you do that?
I have no idea.
If you had 12 Years a Slave winning Best Picture.
I don't know. I have no idea. And I had American Hustle winning costume design. Great Gatsby won. What a joke.
I can't believe you picked Philomena. Or as Leo calls it, Philomania.
Philomania. Loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was American Hustle got blanked. Yeah.
0 for 10.
But I was very happy for Spike because I loved her. And once he won WGA, I was like, I'm sticking with him for the Oscar.
We should have done this 8.
But did you pick like American Hustle because you didn't think it would go 0 for 10?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, it'll go 0 for 10. I don't care. Like I just like we knew J-Law was campaigning for Lupita.
Well, I knew she wasn't going to win there. I knew Lupita was going to win, but yeah, no, that was a fun year. Those are great movies. Good movies are good, Joyce. Let's end it there. Let's end it there.
Movie lovers unite.
Movie lovers unite. I saw that tonight on the Oscars ad. I'm very excited, Joyce. I'm sure we'll do this again.
We'll probably do like PGA predictions.
When is that?
The PGA is Saturday, but we'll probably do something Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. It's
we'll
great.
Figure it out.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.